Welcome into 2-for-1 Drafts. Austin Gayle here with Mike Renner on a lovely Friday before the 2020 NFL Scouting Combine. Both of us heading out to Indy next week. Pretty pumped for that.
Yes, beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indianapolis is an underrated city in my opinion. I really do like Indianapolis.
Yeah, I like the cool thing is you can they have a bunch of upstairs walkways.
I like updoor walkways
like lifted
too.
walkways where it's indoors, and so you can basically traverse the city through these walkways and not have to deal with 0-degree weather, which it's going to be like 20s when we're there. So not looking forward to that, but it's always a good time. You see a lot of NFL coaches, a lot of NFL GMs blacked out drunk.
Yep.
And that's always fun.
That's you though. I mean, you're also in that same boat.
You don't remember it either,
But anyway, I mean, in addition to that, make sure you're following along to 2-for-1 Drafts. We're going to probably record 3 or 4 podcasts. Got a lot of good interviews lined up. I know Tristan Wirfs wants to talk to us. Maybe Curtis Weaver, Ashton Davis. We're definitely looking forward to next week. A lot of media members as well. Should be a very fun week for 2-for-1 Drafts. But for today, we're continuing on kind of our positional class overview series, and we're on to offensive line. We're going to break it up by offensive tackle and interior offensive line. All of these prospects will be in PFF's 2020 NFL Draft Guide, available to Edge and Elite subscribers. That comes out on Monday. Mike Renner has been slaving away to get this thing done. It's not been easy, but when this thing comes out, 750 pages, over 750 pages of information, including all of these offensive linemen we're going to bring up. Let's go ahead and speed through the top 5 offensive tackles in this draft class. Go ahead and take me through it, Mike.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas, we've talked about ad nauseum. Great grading profile. He is OT1 for us. I don't foresee that changing because I think he'll do well at the Combine, but obviously we believe in the power of testing data too. Our guys, Eric Eager, George Ahuri, our great analytics team, has shown that, hey, athleticism matters. I mean, that's breaking news. Everyone fucking knew that for a while. Athleticism does matter, but those testing numbers will actually change their projections for a lot of positions. Offensive line, not super necessary compared to edge, cornerback. Athleticism really matters there, will really change the projections, but it certainly does matter to some degree. You can't be, if you're a below average athlete, if you don't have good athleticism, you just have much more of an uphill climb to become a elite or a Pro Bowl type of player in the NFL.
I would agree with you. And I think looking at this top 5, Andrew Thomas at number 1, the Georgia offensive tackle, Jedrick Wills Jr. of Alabama at number 2, Tristan Wirfs of Iowa at number 3, Josh Jones, the Houston offensive tackle at 4, and then Mekhi Becton at 5. I want to stop at Mekhi Becton and talk about him a little bit, specifically his production. I know this guy's big. He's going to weigh in over 350 pounds, over 360 pounds at 6'7", but looking specifically at his pass blocking production, his career high grade this past year is 79.2 PFF pass blocking grade, but he was largely protected by a quick passing offense, a ton of play action, a ton of screens, and on these true pass blocking snaps, when you're removing screens and play action, he did not grade well, and he doesn't have a ton of experience in these true pass blocking reps, and I think that's a concern for me with Mekhi Becton. I know he's huge. I also know he's young. He's not even 21 years old yet, this monster of a man, but again, traits, but the production is lacking for Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, we want both. Ideally, you want the athleticism, but you also want the guy to grade out really well in college. So Becton has the traits, young, only coming out of his junior year, but like you said, the actual pass protection prowess was not there, and he had 100 fewer true pass sets this past year than a guy like Jedrick Wills Jr. did. And you just feel more comfortable about the guy who's gotten tested more and who's done better when tested. And so that's why we love Jedrick Wills Jr., which look out for him at the Combine next week.
Oh, man.
All-time performance. I'm predicting it right now. Right up there with Lane Johnson and Tron Armstead. I actually put an article on the website this past week that had the best performances we've seen in the past decade at the Combine. Armstead and Lane Johnson are right up there. I might see Jedrick Wills jumping onto that list. Actually, no, because it was for the last decade. He might jump onto the all-time list, though, with his performance this week. And I think Tristan Wirfs is number 3 as well. A lot of it is because the dude's a freak athlete in his own right. Those two are pretty legit explosive offensive tackles.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills Jr., the Alabama offensive tackle, number 2 on PFF's offensive tackle rankings, the latest offensive tackle rankings, and Tristan Wirfs, who comes in at number 3, the Iowa product. Both of those guys are going to test very, very well. People are going to be impressed with their athleticism. But with Tristan Wirfs, there's a big measurement coming up, and it's his arm length. Because I think if he does fall under that 33-inch mark that a lot of GMs and talent evaluators look at as the benchmark to play offensive tackle in the NFL, if he runs it at 32, even if it's high 32, 7 to 8 inches, there are going to be teams that want to kick him into guard at the next level.
Dumb. dumb teams.
Oh, no.
I mean, there's I'm of the opinion that just with the value difference between guards and tackles, because the value being the replacement, one, guards just get a lot fewer one-on-one opportunities than you do a tackle. Two, there's a lot, the bottom end of the tackle position in the NFL is so much worse than the bottom end of the guard position in the NFL. You can find replacement level players that can do an adequate job at guard. You cannot find those nearly as well at tackle. So give him a shot at tackle first. If it doesn't work out there, then kick him into guard. But the Patriots drafted a 6'2" offensive tackle in the first round and are giving him a shot at tackle. You can give a 6'4" guy with 32-inch arms a shot at tackle.
100%. We said the same thing about Jonah Williams of Alabama. When he didn't hit that 33-inch mark, we were still talking about him as the best offensive tackle in the 2019 class because he had the production. He was athletic enough to move at offensive tackle. I think when he gets healthy for the Cincinnati Bengals, I think he's a bounce-back candidate in 2020 for sure.
Let me just get through these true pass set numbers for these top 5 guys.
Go ahead.
I think it's these top 5, and then there's kind of a gap. I feel good about these top 5, or maybe the top 4, and then Mekhi Becton has these question marks. And then there's a real gap between if you need another tackle in this class, it might not be great. You might not be getting the guy you want to make an impact right away. But these 5 guys, Tristan Wirfs had 196 true pass sets this last year. Andrew Thomas 188, Jedrick Wills 120. Josh Jones 113, and then Mekhi Becton 73. And Josh Jones got hurt, and so he didn't even play second half of the year. And then the pressures allowed: Wirfs 5, Thomas 7, Will 7, Josh Jones 2, and then Mekhi Becton 8. So the fewest true pass sets, the most pressures allowed of those guys. That's just worrisome. All those other guys graded in the 80s in their pass blocking sets on the true pass sets. Mekhi Becton all the way down 64.7. So,
that's a concern we bring up with him. That's a concern we bring up with Mekhi Becton every time is that, yes, he's got all these tools and these traits and the size, but when you actually look at production, he has not reached the heights that you want to see from a first round, or maybe not from a top 16 pick in the 2020 draft.
And this is offensive line is a skilled position. This is different than, say, cornerback, where it's you can kind of work with a guy. All he needs to do is have the movement skills, and then you can just stick with someone, and then you can work a few other things into it. No, there's a lot of moving parts that goes into a pass set. A lot of technique, and it's a lot of coordination. And some guys may never get there, and that's the risk you're running if you're drafting Mekhi Becton highly.
All right, let's jump to Lucas Niang, who comes just outside of the top 5 on PFF's latest offensive tackle rankings. Did not play after Week 9 this past season, injury for that, but 79.5 overall grade on the year, as 84.8 PFF pass blocking grade. I know this. George Chahuri and Eric Eager, the numbers they have on Lucas Niang are good. He's graded very well as a pass protector over a large sample size of snaps. He's played over 1,000 pass blocking snaps in his collegiate career, earned 80-plus overall pass blocking grades these past 2 years. You're impressed with what he does in pass protection, maybe a ceiling from a standpoint as a run blocker, but where are you with Lucas Niang?
Yeah, so Lucas Niang is interesting because his pass sets are just
garbage.
Someone described it well on Twitter. I think it might have been John Leonard. He said he looks like an octopus out of water. His arm length's not going to come in under 33. This dude has probably over 35-inch arms. But he is kicking out and is sitting way back in his stance. It looks nothing like any offensive tackle you see in the NFL, and that's kind of the telltale. It's got to get fixed. If you're doing something super crazy at the college level, chances are, and it doesn't look like anything in the NFL, it's because it's probably not. That's probably not good. That's your easy scouting tip right there. So Lucas Niang, pass sets need to be reworked, but his length and anchor for his size are both very good. He only allowed two pressures this past year on his true pass blocking set, 61 of those. So not bad there. Playing in the Big 12, not great competition, and does have a ton of, like you said, pass blocking sets under his belt with his career there at TCU. But again, he's a project at this point. That's a late day two kind of project.
I think another project that had the eyes of Bill Belichick at the Senior Bowl and had some good reps there as well is Matt Pert, the UConn offensive tackle, currently listed at 6'7", 301 pounds, earned a 90.0 overall grade this past year, a career high for him. He didn't earn above a 76.0 overall grade in the 3 years prior at UConn. He also earned an 86.0 PFF pass blocking grade and a 90.1 run blocking grade. I think Bill Belichick's on the right guy if you're looking at a guy that's getting better every year.
Yeah, he's smooth. And the reason he's gotten better every year is because he started off his career at UConn is just so slight, no muscle to his frame, and he's gotten stronger every single year, but he's still not quite there. He went to the Senior Bowl and he got bull rushed by Josh Uche. Josh Uche, 241 pounder there. That's not the guy. That's not what you want to see. So if you're getting bull rushed by Josh Uche, chances are You go up against Devon Miller, you go up against the Myles Garrett, you go up against a real bull rusher at the next level, and things will go south quickly. So his play strength still needs to improve, but like we've mentioned before, offensive tackle, guys improving every single year of his career. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see the guys who are stagnating. Don't want to see the guys who are not improving. We'll probably get to some of those on this list, the guys who really haven't taken that next step. That's not what you want to see. Pert has definitely been improving.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump away from Pert. Let's go to Ben Barch, another guy that looked very good at the Senior Bowl, in my opinion. St. John's product. Before I dive into the player specifically, the St. John's mascot are the Johnnies. They're the St. John's Johnnies.
Yeah,
I don't like
that.
that.
On a limb there.
I kind of hate
the most
that.
Creative.
Jeez, call yourself like. I mean, stick to what like Huskies is always a classic. Like you can go anywhere, and you went Johnnies. I have. He's going down my board for that reason. No, but
you go to Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame Dames. So it'd just be like
Notre Dame Damies. What's up? Anyway, Ben Barch at the Senior Bowl looked the part.
Yeah.
Looked like he belonged among Power 5 competition. Very impressed with his reps against the Florida guys, Jonathan Grenard and Jabari Zuniga. Maybe he kicks into guard at the next level, but strong. I think he had some ox-like strength, and maybe he could play tackle.
I think he could. Like I think he can legitimately play tackle. You worry about the fact that you just, again, like he looks really good in his reps at the Senior Bowl. It's 12 plays throughout the week.
Yeah.
Like he looked good in the practices, but like it's still such a limited.
But for a small school product, though, you need to see that. You need to see those 12 reps were probably the most important 12 reps he's taken in the last 5 years.
Yeah, the stress, like that level that he had compared to some of these other guys. I mean, playing like bigger competition, like Logan Stenberg was playing in the SEC. You're not going to be seeing anything you haven't seen over the last 4 years. For him, it's like, dude, this was different guys than he's ever seen before in his life.
I'll tell you right now, Mike,
he has to win on them, and he did. Like he did really well on those reps.
His fellow Johnnies are looking for jobs outside of football right now. I'm just letting you know that. So I think the guys he went against, the guys he played with, didn't come anywhere close to 12 reps that mattered as much as his 12 reps at the Senior Bowl, and I think he dominated them.
Yeah, he really did. And that's the thing. It's like, but it's still only 12 reps, so you can't get super high on them. But if I'm looking at the tackles outside this top 5, like I said, the top 5 is kind of the cream of the crop, and then after that. And you tell me I get to choose one that I think can develop into, a Pro Bowl level tackle, I would put my money on Barch just because like he had that play strength, he had that physicality to him to play tackle at the NFL level. But again, you go and watch his tape, you flip on the St. John's tape, and you're just like, what am I doing here? like I'm not going to glean shit from this. This doesn't even like yes, he's athletic enough to play in the NFL. Yes, he is powerful enough. And then, I don't need to see him ragdoll, basically me playing defensive
exactly.
end right now.
You pop on the Johnny's tape. I mean, you're not going to.
My boy, who's the O-line coach at Whitewater, is going to kill me for that. But yeah.
Owen Reese.
Yeah, Owen Reese.
Austin Jackson. Let's jump to Austin Jackson, the USC offensive tackle, currently listed 6'6", 310 pounds. He's almost 24 years old. He'll be 24 before
Austin Jackson?
Yeah,
that's talking about the wrong guy here. Austin Jackson.
According to PFF premium stats, he's 23 years old.
He's 20 years old. This guy.
Really? So I got bad data.
We got bad data here.
Okay.
He's 100%. He's a true junior coming out. This guy is young.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I thought maybe he skipped a couple grades, or didn't skip a couple grades, held back elementary school. But
you're wrong here.
Bad data here. I apologize for that. But looking at his grading profile, this is a guy I can't really get on board with in the first round. I see him sometimes at the back end of the first round. I do not see that. Just a 73.9 overall grade in 2019. Not something you're super impressed with from a career year standpoint. Yeah. Graded well as a pass protector, but nothing high end. Again, Austin Jackson is a fringe first rounder. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, he's soft. He has the athleticism to play tackle at the NFL, and that's, again, at the tackle position, there's certain traits that just basically you almost need to have: agility, length. Those are kind of like you need both of those things. Agility, length, and then play strength. You need those 3 things, or else you're not holding up a tackle in the NFL. He doesn't he has the agility, he has the length, does not quite have the play strength yet. And he's young, he could develop into that, but I'm not going to put my first round pick on a guy who's real soft, got the floor wiped with him by Bradley Anae, Utah defender, who did very good, but that's kind of sort of the floor you're going to be seeing in the NFL next year. It just might be ugly early on for Austin Jackson. He's a guy who 3-4 years down the line you have to bank on. That's when he'd be finally making an impact.
I'm going to apologize again for saying he's almost 24 years old. I don't know why that date is wrong. I'm definitely going to bring that up to IT, but I will say this: he graduated high school in 2016. If he was actually 24 years old, there'd be some legitimate problems with this prospect. Jumping to Jack Driscoll of Auburn, the Auburn offensive tackle, listed right now at 6'5". 6'5", 296 pounds, unless that's bad data too.
No, he's slight. This guy is slightly built.
A UMass transferred to Auburn in 2018 and graded well early on. There was not a big steep learning curve for this guy. An 85.8 PFF pass blocking grade in 2018 and an 86.3 pass blocking grade in 2019. I always bring this up, but George and Eric will come to me with guys that are like, hey, what do you think of X name? He's showing up well in what we see as like predictive metrics and things like that. Jack Driscoll is another one of those guys.
Yeah, he has been very good in pass protection over his career, but like when you come in sub 300, he's sub 297 pounds, he's weighed in at the Shrine game. That's tough. Like that you really can't match up with NFL level power at that point. And he's also like a 5th-year senior, like a transfer from UMass. You should be physically a little bit stronger than he is at this point. So if you're still questioning a guy's play strength, you're still questioning it. Like you can question Austin Jackson's, and he has some years left to develop. At his age, at Driscoll's age, you don't really have that's just going to be something you have to live with. Most likely at the NFL level. So, but I love his feet and pass protection, man. He went up against Jonathan Greener in that Florida game this past season and handled him. Wow. Just like Greener did not even come close to the quarterback in that game. He's so good at mirroring guys, so patient. But yeah, he's going to be probably a day 3 guy just because of those issues, and that's why he didn't get a Senior Bowl invite, because he doesn't have the body of an NFL tackle. Another
guy with a great grading profile is Ezra Cleveland of Boise State. 6'6", 309 pounds, has earned an 81.0 or higher PFF pass blocking grade all 3 years of his career with Boise State, and he's played over nearly 3,000 offensive snaps. Injury not a huge concern for him right there. I think Ezra Cleveland, I'm really impressed with what he's done from a grading standpoint. Has improved as a run blocker, yes, against Mountain West competition, but the grading profile is there.
Yeah, he got sauced back 2018 by
grading profile is great. Yeah, man, he got sauced
by this like 6'2", 220-pound edge defender for Oklahoma State, whose name is eluding me at the moment. He just got spun in knots. He's kind of in the same boat as Driscoll in that they have the mirror ability. They're all like white offense tackles that are like 6'4" and like 300 pounds, but him. So Ezra Cleveland, Jack Driscoll, and Colton McKivitz, who we'll get to in a little bit, the West Virginia tackle, are all kind of a similar vein to me, where it's like I like their mirror ability, pretty good with their hands, but then just play strength's not there. They're all pretty weak. They're all very likely to get exposed by some power at the next level. Of the bunch, I think Cleveland probably the strongest, and also I think he's the youngest of that bunch. So we'll see. But like the level of competition, not super encouraging. Did not face a lot of talented edge defenders.
Jumping to Isaiah Wilson, the Georgia offensive tackle. What can you tell me about him?
Enormous dude. I think he is, after Mekhi Becton, he's the second biggest offensive tackle in this draft class. But man, Becton's agility, it did suffer being 370. He would be more agile if he was 330, but it's still on NFL level. Isaiah Wilson, man, there's some inside moves where it's just like you should be in front of that. Like he's not even like touching guys on spin moves, that sort of thing. He definitely got more exposed than his teammate Andrew Thomas on the other side of that line. So he came out early, which really surprised me. An early declaration, like he'll probably still be a day 2 pick, but
because he's massive.
Because he's massive, and because again, it comes back to that. There's only so many. The good Lord only made so many guys that big with that length that can play and have the play strength at the NFL level. He's one of them, so he'll probably get drafted, but I just don't love the agility, and pass sets are just very much a work in progress.
2 Washington offensive tackles to bring up next. Trey Adams, who did get an invite to the Combine, has some injury concerns and has gotten sauced by high-level competition, and Jared Hilbers did not get an invite to the Combine. Get an invite to the Combine, but I do think he's an impressive player in his own right.
Yeah, Hilbers has like the power. He's just super heavy-footed and
a little soft, or
no, he's not soft. But he just like the feet are not quite there. And Trey Adams has the athleticism, other side of the line, left tackle for the Washington this past year, has the size, and he moves really well, but he's just not flexible. Like you saw guys get around him to the edge all the time, and it seemed like such a chore for him to react to outside moves. Bradley and I killed him on it. Chase Young killed everybody, but really killed him on it last year.
When it's a chore to get to outside moves, though, that's hard to project that player having success at the next level.
Can't sink low enough because he's like 6'8", like he's almost too tall. He plays too tall for the position.
Same.
And he, like Trey Adams, is just. I think a lot of people are starting to come around and scared. Multiple serious injuries, a neck injury I believe an ACL injury as well, cost him 2 seasons, and just he should have been more productive. Should be a better player by now. He has a lower, pass blocking grade on true pass sets than Mekhi Becton.
All right, Colton McKivitz, the West Virginia offensive tackle. You said you had some reservations on him.
Yeah, again, Colton McKivitz is one of those guys in that sort of vein of just like he has the movement skills, but his pass sets are still kind of rough, and he flip-flopped sides at West Virginia, went from right tackle in 2018 while Yadni Kajus was at left tackle, now flipped to left tackle, which always blows my mind that teams do that. It's like, if he's good at right tackle, let him go there. Maybe you wanted to do it to help his own draft stock, but his feet are kind of all over the place in pass protection. He's just a little soft. And when you're soft as a senior coming out,
Owen Reese mentioned that. You want to bring up Owen Reese in a positive light. He mentioned Colton McKivitz, when you are throwing the football as often as West Virginia did, it's hard to kind of develop that mentality as this tougher, I don't know, hard not to be soft.
Very much so.
When you're throwing the football as much as West Virginia did.
And he sets really deep, and then when you set deep and you're soft, you're just begging to end up in quarterback's lap.
Yeah, we were watching highlights at the Senior Bowl, and he would set too deep all the time. And I think his landmarks are off.
You want to talk guys who are landmarks off? Let's talk about Alex Taylor.
All right, hit me
real quick. South Carolina offensive tackle. He's going to have a combine for the ages because in a group full of tall men at the Senior Bowl along the offensive line, he was head and shoulders above everyone else. Over 6'8", I believe he came in at. So 6'8 and a half, 308 pounds, which when you're 6'8 and a half, 308 pounds, you look like you play in the NBA. That's not even big at that point. So it had 11-inch hands and 36 and an 1/8-inch arms, an 88-inch wingspan, one of the biggest wingspans I've ever seen at the tackle position. He's built differently, but his landmarks were off. He would just be riding guys 5 yards deep into the pocket around the edge and think he was fine. And I was like, 5 yards deep in the pocket is a quick game. 5 yards where you're taking the shotgun snap at. That's you can't be. He was just very raw.
It sounds like with a lot of these guys, though, when you bring up outside of maybe your top 2, top 3 guys, they're sloppy footwork, technique needs to get reworked. Is that just a product of being young at the position because it just takes time to get good?
Well, I think it's the whole. You heard about a lot more probably a few years ago. Everyone's like, oh, the offensive line's a problem. Coaching in college is a problem, and it is. These guys aren't getting great offensive line coaches. Even in the NFL, you don't get. There's only a handful of really good offensive line coaches.
Tom Cable.
Yeah, you're getting guys like Tom Cable who aren't refining guys' pass sets.
Yeah.
Tom Cable's I worry about the run game. You pass protection's on the quarterback. No, it's I
think that philosophy worked about 15 years ago.
It does, and that's what. But it's also there's only a number of guys who are 6'5". Again, it comes back to that plant. There's not a lot of guys who are 6'5" with athleticism, and then when there are, there's even fewer guys with 6'5" athleticism and coordination. It's you're paring it down to this super small subset of, just human beings on Earth. And when it's like that, you're going to have guys who just can't figure out, who will never be able to figure out the pass it, who just can't get to that level because they're physically incapable. It's so that's why we're saying a lot of these guys. And when there is a guy who looks like it and has it and is even close to an NFL caliber, they go in the first round.
Yeah. All right, Hakeem Adeniji, the Kansas offensive tackle, played left tackle for them this past year. He's got an interesting background. I got to bring this one up. I think he had a scholarship offer from Army or Navy, one of the military schools, but then had a peanut allergy, or I think maybe it was cashews. Hard to say. But they didn't let him go to the school because they were it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks before he actually had to go. And he's like, oh man, that sucks. And then I think his former high school coach got a personnel position at Kansas, and he was able to go to Kansas. And he started over 800 snaps. He's played over 800 snaps or close to all 4 years at Kansas. Production isn't great. He hasn't graded super well there, but still interesting background for him. 6'5", 300 pounds. I think his best position probably at the next level is interior.
Yeah.
He's going to probably play guard at the next level.
So there were 2 guys who went to the Senior Bowl as tackles and then kicked inside.
Came out as guards.
And then, they very much came out as guards, but looked like they should be, are quality guards, could play in the NFL next year as guards. Maybe not start next year in the NFL, but will be drafted somewhat reasonably high at guards. It was Hakeem Adeniji out of Kansas and then Tyre Phillips out of Mississippi State. Mississippi State. Those 2 guys very much looked so much more comfortable on the inside. When they were out in space, you just saw them get so antsy. But then when they could get on a guy right away at the guard position, they didn't have to. Their feet looked much more comfortable. They didn't at least look much more on balance. Phillips especially, actually, he rose up and board a ton with his performance there because his anchor is so strong. He was so strong at tackle, but could not mirror, more athletic edge rushers to save his life. at guard, I don't think that's going to be near of an issue. So Tyre Phillips, you're looking for those tackle guard converts, the vaunted, the ones that, the Marshall Yanners of the world, the Zach Martins of the world, they were tackles in college. You want one of those guys, Tyre Phillips could be your man in the mid-rounds.
Went to East Mississippi Community College before Mississippi State. He's 23 years old, but I do agree that kicked into guard, he looked a lot better than when he was at tackle at the Senior Bowl. And for you, are nut allergies a red flag, or does that come up a lot in the scouting?
No, I mean, I think you're good on that front, unless you're maybe who had the MRSA outbreak, unless you're the Bucks and you can't keep your locker room clean, then maybe, but maybe they shouldn't draft him, but everyone else think you're good.
All right, jumping to Prince Tagovailoa of Auburn, guy who has a ton of athletic ability. I think if he was going to be testing out at the Combine, you'd be really impressed with what Prince did, but I think still not super high on PFF's board.
So he's straight line, powerful and explosive and long, but his agility, like he would be a guy who probably runs well, probably like 4.95. I'm just like throwing out the combine 4.95 combine number, but then like the 3 cones over 8 and the shuttles, because just he's awkward out in space. Like you don't want him playing out in space. So he might be another guy who kicks into guard. I'm not sure that necessarily is helping him too much. He doesn't play with great leverage, but he has the length, and he's really so he is a guy who didn't even play offensive line until he got to Auburn. Was a defensive lineman, and he's like his learning curve in terms of how much better he got. He was, as a junior, had an elite pass blocking grade, and I thought, oh wow, this guy, like, to have gotten so good so quick at the position, like, where is this guy's ceiling at? And then he takes a big step backwards this year. And again, we've talked about you got to keep getting better. We want to see you keep getting better. He goes up against, I believe it's Tulane early on in the season, just gets murdered by the edge defender there who's going to come out.
I mean, he's a guy, Patrick. Is it Patrick? Patrick for Tulane. Patrick something.
Yeah.
Patrick Johnson? Something like that.
You're close.
But Prince was a guy before the season we highlighted. Is like if he takes a step forward, because he has this ability, this like kind of raw tools, that's where you start to get excited about him as a prospect, but he really didn't this past year. All right, we got about 5 names left on the offensive tackle that will be, I don't know if I mentioned this at the top of the podcast, but all of these guys in the offensive line group will be in the 2020 NFL Draft Guide available to Edge and Elite subscribers. Make sure you get that on Monday, February 24th, before the Combine kicks off. But walk me through these last 5 guys at offensive tackle.
Quick hitters here. Charlie Heck, North Carolina. He's just one of the biggest waist benders in the draft class. And when you're a hardcore waist bender, that's just like an inbuilt sort of. It means you're not necessarily flexible enough in your lower half. I just don't foresee him being much at tackle in the NFL. Got exposed at the Senior Bowl. Sadiq Charles, LSU left tackle. Project at this point. Very athletic. He's going to test really well here at the Combine, but his just all over the map. I mean, he did not grade out well this year because it's just the technique is just all over the place. His feet are all over the place. He should not have come out early, in my mind. He came out early this year. I'm not sure why. Probably should have gone back to school. Terrence Steele, Texas Tech. So Terrence Steele, Justin Herron from Wake Forest, these kind of just guys.
Justin Herron did not look good at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
That was a struggle.
Neither of them really did. They might not. I mean, they're borderline draftable guys. I'm not sure they even will. And then Blake Brandel, we included in the draft guide, Oregon State offensive tackle, graded out really, really well. The worst athlete I've mentioned on this list.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately.
And athleticism matters at offensive tackle.
We threw him in because of the grading profile into the draft guide. But, yeah, it's another thing where, like, just below him trying to go find a linebacker was tough.
Yeah. Let's jump to interior offensive line, starting with the top 5.
Yes, Netane Muti, our boy, Fresno State. Again, go watch the highlight reel. Even if you
I love Netane Muti. I've watched it every morning. So like my process is like wake up. Okay, snooze the alarm 3 times, Netane Muti highlight tape, and then I go brush my teeth. I come back. I'm like, might as well run
it'll
back.
get you ready to run through a brick wall.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
That's
what matters. I wake up and I want to headbutt things, and I think if I'm going to do that, Netane Muti highlight tapes is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, you've headbutted your girlfriend. That got you in a little trouble.
What do you? Well, that's not even funny.
Accidentally.
Can we move forward here to Jonah Jackson?
Jonah Jackson, Ohio State, the best pass sets of any interior offensive lineman in this class. So good with his hands. He went to the Senior Bowl. Was the best in pass protection of any offensive lineman there. I think he's a sure thing in that regard. Builds weird. Not the most physically imposing guard.
Builds weird. Can we stop there? This guy looks like he has a mini fridge tucked under his shoulder pads up top, and like not thin down low, but
like a mini fridge on a bar stool.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, it's like that's a great comp there. It's a mini fridge on a bar stool because like his lower frame is just not even close to the same size. He's built like a martini glass or like a pizza slice, if you will. It's like I don't get it. And we were watching him, and like, man, every rep was awesome, but like I could not get around the fact that like he's got like a mini fridge tucked up front and like a jetpack on the back, and he's just like walking. I don't know.
Not too worried.
It's weird. It's weird. But again, number 2 interior offensive lineman on PFF Sport.
Number 3, Cesar Ruiz, Michigan, young dude, another guy, only 20 years old, really good in pass protection. He's a guy who, first time I watched him, we watched like a game, and you're kind of just like, that's fine. Like, that was good. Then you watch every game, you're like, oh, like he's not really losing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's never like, oh my God, that was awesome. Like, that was an amazing rep. But it's like, oh, he's never like getting out of bad.
I mean, similar to and different positions, but Xavier McKinney, I think his tape is similar in that, like, oh man, this guy's good all the time. Maybe he doesn't have that splash play that gets you really, really pumped up. You're not turning on his highlight tape before you brush your teeth in the morning like you do Netane Muti.
Yeah,
but Cesar Ruiz, the more you watch, the more like, oh man, this guy doesn't lose.
Very much so. Very much so. Tyler Biadasz, his grading profile is absurd. 3 straight years now, I think, as a top 5 graded center in college football. Balance concerns, explosive off the ball. I think he's a good enough athlete, but man, he's thrown onto his face too much. And I prefer guys who don't get thrown onto their face.
Same.
As he does.
Same.
I just think balance is a very, very necessary trait when you get to the NFL. The guys, I think I've said this.
We've had offensive line coaches reach out and say, like, hey, could something you guys track how often this guy falls down, how often this guy goes on the ground? And we don't do it now, but I think it is something we need to think about in terms of, like, this is, it is.
Well, we kind of do. It's like we grade from 0 to -2. Mm-hmm. If you're getting a lot of -1s,
you're on the ground.
You're on the ground. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not. It's specifically an advanced stat though, like face to turf ratio. Like, I don't know. Like, I think I could add it. We can make moves there, but again.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't see Tyron Smith on the ground.
No,
you don't see Zach Martin on the ground. All right, on to number 5, Calvin Throckmorton, Oregon, 4-year starter, has played snap at every single position on the Oregon offensive line. Most of his snaps, though, came at right tackle. Second most of his snaps came at center. So I think he's probably a center. Could play guard at the next level as well.
I want to go back to Tyler Biadasz for a second because I know his background is interesting. I think he showed up to Wisconsin to play former defensive lineman, and then walk on, but then started like early at Wisconsin, and then you had other offensive linemen at Wisconsin saying this is the best offensive lineman we have. Like right out of the gate, they were saying this guy is legit. And I don't know if he's already peaked because he did take a little bit of a step back, but Tyler Biadasz does have an interesting background.
It's funny how that happened because just right before he was there, or maybe that was like the year, his redshirt year was the same year that Ryan Ramczyk was the year before he transferred in from, it was like Whitewater. They're like, yo, this guy who just transferred in is the best offensive line we have.
Oh.
Like, he's like nasty, but he can't play because he just transferred. That was like similar to Biadasz. He's a true freshman there, is redshirting, and they're like, oh shit, this guy's actually like good. Why are we still redshirting him? But yeah, so that Biadasz, like the grading profile really is good. So I'm trusting that to some degree, but there are concerns on tape. Get to outside the top 5, one of my favorite guys to watch in this draft class, Robert Hunt from Louisiana, which Louisiana, their right guard and their right tackle. Robert Hunt played right tackle. Right guard we'll get to in a little bit. Kevin Dotson here. Both going to be drafted. Like Louisiana Raging Cajuns have 2 draftable guys. Robert Hunt probably going to go day 2. This guy is 6'5", 330 pounds, and is built like
cinder block.
Yes, like straight up from top to bottom. There's nothing comes out. It's just a straight down, and 330 pounds. Holds it easily. So powerful. He's got fun tape. I wish he would have been healthy, or I'm not sure why he dropped out of the Senior Bowl, but I wish he would have gone and we got to see him there because he would have been #fun to watch. But yeah, outside the top 5, that's one of the guys I'd really want on my squad at the guard position.
All right, I think this next group of 3 is an interesting handful of names here. Nick Harris, the Washington center, a super athletic interior offensive lineman, but undoubtedly a bit undersized. I mean, he's going to struggle against bull rushers. Then you have Damian Lewis, who's kind of a complete opposite from a play style standpoint. This guy's built for the phone booth, struggles a bit moving laterally, but you're not going to go through him. Derek Brown did on a handful of snaps in that game, but I'm not chalking that one up as a loss. Like, everyone's saying Derek Brown completely blew him out of the water, but Damian Lewis had a couple bad reps there. But, like, honestly, that was a good matchup, and I think Damian Lewis went toe-to-toe with the best defensive tackle in this class and won some reps. And that third guy I want to mention is Logan Stenberg. They call him Mr. Nasty at Kentucky. Talks a lot of trash, loves to talk trash. I tried to get him to talk trash to me at Senior Bowl. He was the nicest guy in the world.
We like talk
really, really nice. I was like, dude, can you beat me up a little bit? You know, I don't know, like pick me up, or I don't know what I said, but Logan Stenberg was not having it. He was actually very nice, complimented my attire. I think he said he liked my shoes. It's hard to say, but Mr. Nice to me, Mr. Nasty to the SEC. those three players I think are all interesting. And again, I think this
Very
interior
different
offensive
players here.
This
also.
interior offensive line class I think is more deep than the offensive tackle class.
Yeah, I agree. So tackle class is top heavy. Interior offensive line has legit depth. We go down to about 11, 12 players here where it's like they can.
Hell, even Shane Lemieux, like going down the board. We're going to talk about him later. Keith Ishmael, San Diego State, go Aztecs. It's a lot.
So Harris, athleticism off charts. Need to test well at the combine because it will be just he needs to prove that that's his difference maker. That's where he will win at the next level. One-on-one pass pro against stronger defensive tackles, nose tackles. It's going to get ugly. He doesn't have the anchor right now. He's 290 pounds, but he can make blocks in the screen game and the run game that no one else in this class can. That needs to be his calling card. So big for him. Damian Lewis, just super powerful dude. Built low to the earth, squatty guy. Stenberg, kind of the opposite, powerful dude, but at 6'6".
Yeah, he's
a
long.
little bigger, a little more length, but not as experienced in pass protection. They just, they stop passing.
The Damian Lewis comp to Gabe Jackson's really good. I really like that comp because Gabe Jackson similarly is like best in a phone booth and is hard to bully, but again, moving laterally can be a little bit of a concern for him.
And then onto Lloyd.
Also with Gabe Jackson, I'm not sure if you know this, but Von Miller calls him the worst smelling player in the NFL. I think if Damian Lewis can bring
the real Mr. Nasty.
If Damian Lewis, the real Mr. Nasty. All right, let's jump to Lloyd Cushenberry, the other LSU interior offensive lineman.
And he did not play well this last year. Like, flat out, had the most pressures allowed of any center in the country. And he is a powerful guy in his own right, but his lateral agility, going side to side, was not good. Like, when guys get on the side of him, he loses. And when guys get on the side of Jonah Jackson, he's still riding him past the pocket, the Ohio State guard. Like, he's still hanging on for dear life. When guys get to the side of Lloyd Cushenberry, he doesn't recover with his feet well, doesn't recover with his hands, and he lost a lot of reps this past season. Still, he declared early, like he had another year of eligibility, could have come back. So again, you kind of got to have that sliding scale of when a guy comes out early, you know that there's a lot of physical development. There's a lot more he can go to, and he played well at the Senior Bowl. So we're still like probably late day 2, early day 3 on him. But I'm just like, the thing is, if you're drafting him highly, if you're drafting him second round, just got to understand. Next year he's probably not going to flip a switch next year and all of a sudden be great in pass pro.
All right, going to this next group here of interior offensive linemen. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. But Michigan interior offensive lineman Michael Onwenu, he's another one that I think
he was like one of our few beer belly segments of the week because he's 350 pounds.
Oh my God.
Carries it pretty well. Went to the Shrine game and had the highest win rate of any offensive guard in attendance that week. Did very well there, showed off very well. I was really actually kind of surprised he didn't get a Senior Bowl invite. He had to be pretty salty because Ben Bredesen got the Senior Bowl invite. His teammate, who we're going to touch on next on this list, I guess we'll just touch on him now, who I don't think is as good as Onwenu.
Yeah.
I think Onwenu is a better prospect.
But Bredesen has been with Michigan for so long.
Starting more years. But he's tall, high cut, and I think he just loses a lot of leverage battles, whereas Onwenu, at 350 pounds, didn't lose a ton of leverage battles there on the Michigan interior offensive line. Both graded out really well in pass pro, but I think Onwenu is more likely to translate in the NFL.
Another guy to bring up is the interior offensive lineman from Temple, Matt Hennessy. I think he had some positive reps at the Senior Bowl that kind of had me impressed.
Yeah, he's athletic, slightly built guy, kind of like thin frame, not a power player whatsoever. Way more of a zone fit at the center position, but he can move, uses his hands really well, just an advanced, technically sound center. I don't think this guy where like the ceiling, if you want to talk about that, doesn't necessarily wow nearly as much, and he's not far from a perfect prospect. He gets out on his toes a lot because he is trying to make up for a little bit,
which you hate to see.
Which you get out on your toes, you're just going to be thrown off balance. He gets out on that, trying to go for that kill shot because when guys do that, it's usually to make up for a lack of physical tools. They know they don't have the strength necessarily to hold up to power if they do get rocked back, so they want to be on their toes so they can absorb that. But yeah, that's Hennessy. I think he's solidly an early day 3 guy that could potentially start right away for you.
All right, Keith Ishmael of San Diego State center. I think he was also there at the Senior Bowl. I thought he looked pretty good. Him and Nick Harris are, I think, both looked good, even though they did lose some reps to some bigger dudes.
Yeah, he did he did do well at Senior Bowl. He graded out the best of any center, I believe, in attendance, or tied actually Lloyd Cushenberry for the highest win rate of any center in attendance during the week. He's not as big as Lloyd Cushenberry, not a power player by any means. I just worry about his athleticism. He was really kind of limited, it seemed like, out in space for San Diego State. But
go Aztecs.
Yeah, but like a day 3 guy, we're kind of hitting the point where I'm not loving these prospects down here at the bottom of this list.
Well, what about your guy Kevin Dotson? You say he's going to get drafted.
I think he's going to get drafted. That doesn't mean I love him. He is strong dude. He's going to be 24 as a rookie, though.
Oh, man.
Old dude as well. And he plays so high in his pass sets. And it didn't really get exposed, but they ran way more than they even passed at Louisiana this past year. Like, they didn't have a ton of pass sets for him to even get, sort of one-on-one reps on. So I think if that were the case, if it gets to the NFL, he's going to have issues in pass pro that needs to be fixed.
Moving to the bottom of the barrel here, that's in the 2020 NFL Draft Guide that will be updated on Monday. Shane Lemieux and Zach Shackelford. Both of these guys, day 3 products that, not necessarily ton to fall in love with, really.
No, yeah. I mean, both just you're getting to this point, it's just serious pass protection issues, whether it's Shackelford's just soft up the middle, got just bullied back into QB a lot. And then Lemieux is just stiff, man. The dude wears a neck roll, which you got to love.
Okay, I'm moving him up the board now.
You flip on the Auburn tape, very first play of the game, he goes for a head slap on the defensive tackles, just right into a helmet, immediately on the screen. Offensive line coach is day one guy after seeing that one play. But now there's, again, in pass protection, just he doesn't have that. It just is stiff. So that's not great. And then getting down to the bottom here, we got actually two Clemson guys in Tremaine Ankrum and John Simpson that probably actually don't necessarily belong in this group. Both are very much draftable prospects. Simpson is your classic powerful phone booth guard who ask him to do anything outside of phone booth, and you don't want him doing anything outside of phone booth.
Athletic interior defense lineman will beat this dude to a pulp.
Yeah.
Guys that can win on their first step and win with their hands early, John Simpson's not their guy. But guys who want to bull rush him aren't going to have a ton of success.
Yes, very much so. And you saw at the Senior Bowl, he had some. He
the Javon Kinlaw rep. The Kinlaw rep is the one that comes to mind. And Marlon Davidson, I think, had him beat on one of those reps. Much. I think Simpson, like I said, guys who have that great first step, guys that can really win at the line of scrimmage with their hands, Simpson's going to have trouble with. And those are the best guys in the NFL. Yeah. So that's going to be hard to project the next level.
Ankrum, he played right tackle at Clemson. Tremaine Ankrum, he's just not super powerful. If you kick him into guard, I'm not sure it's going to alleviate the issue that he's undersized. I think he's 6'3", doesn't have length, not going to stay a tackle in the NFL, but he's not a super powerful guy, not a people mover by any means. So kind of a back end of the roster depth sort of play it there at the beginning. Solomon Kinley, Georgia guard. I never was a fan of this guy. He slips off a ton of blocks. He plays on a Georgia
He had some hype early in the season, though.
Yeah, he's 330, and he kind of gets by on that at the college level where he can just lean on guys, but he's not a people mover by any means. Kind of sloppy with his feet too. I'm not taking him till 6th, 7th round type of guy. Mm-hmm. Scott France, the Kansas State offensive tackle. If you heard the name before, it's probably because he came out as the first openly gay football player in college football. He's borderline draftable though. Played tackle, so he started at left tackle over Dalton Reisner. I guess Dalton Reisner was right tackle, and then France came in. They didn't kick Reisner over to the left side. They kept him on the right, and France was good enough at the left tackle. But grading profile-wise, he peaked as a sophomore. Mm-hmm. Has gotten worse over the past 2 years in terms of pass protection. Again, he hasn't made the necessary adjustments, and he really is, play strength-wise, borderline if he even makes a roster in the NFL. But we include him in the guide. And Darrell Williams, another guy who's, he struggled. Mississippi State center, played guard last year, so athletic. Behind Nick Harris, he might be the most athletic offensive lineman in this draft class, the Washington center. Darrell Williams might be the most athletic interior offensive lineman. Just soft, though. Any guy with any sort of strength just demolished him. And so you love the movement skills, but I don't know. You fix play strength. I don't know if that ends up getting any better at this stage.
Yep. All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for the Friday edition of 2-for-1 Drafts. Next week on Monday, we're going to have a podcast for you guys, and then all week we might be recording one Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Ton of good content coming out while we're in Indianapolis for the Combine. Make sure to tune into that. We'll be posting them to YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. 2-for-1 Drafts is there. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. But again, this is it. Austin Gayle, Mike Renner, 2-for-1 Drafts.